Hey guys, so some of you might be thinking the timing of this video, I'm trying to one-up Max Fiordi or Barnstangs. It's just coincidence though. I'm trying to do a RMAX compatible with 62-inch stance because the Block Hills Forest has updated the rules that measures stance and not mirrors or fenders. So my goal is to make the RMAX compatible with those new regulations. I bought some Tuss Teton 6+1 offset 14-inch rims, beadlocks, and some Tuss Terabyte 30-inch by 10-inch wide in order to achieve that goal. I can tell you right now that I should have gone with 9-inch tires up front, but I wanted to try a square setup. So that's one of the risks of being a guinea pig, is sometimes you have to take some chances and put some work into it. So just to get some things out of the way, here's the rear, 10-inch versus the 11. And with the rear, it's pretty easy. The only thing that interferes with these rims are the mud scrapers, and those unbolt. So I remove those, and the rear I've gotten to 62.5, I think. I'll do another video going into detail measuring the widths. The front has posed a bigger challenge. The caliper interferes with the rim where it slims down there. So I've had to grind off some material for it to clear. So as a result, I now have clearance. This isn't something for the faint of heart. I'm pretty sure it'll void your warranty. And there's the possible safety hazards. I'm not worried about compromising the caliper. I mean, there's plenty of meat there. But this is something where if you do it, don't go blaming Yamaha for brake failures or whatever. I'm pretty confident that that's not going to happen in my case. The only thing that I'm worried about is, even though I have clearance, it's pretty tight. So if a rock gets jammed in there, it's not likely to happen on the front as it is the rear, but there's always that risk. So anytime you have your wheels off, it's a good idea to check your brakes. And one thing I wanted to make note of is when I took my caliper off, that's what I found. That's a rock. And this caliper was hanging up too. So I'm going to remove that rock. This is kind of the before. When you're doing brakes, you normally want to leave one side. This is Mechanics 101. You want to leave one side intact so you can reference it if you forget where parts go on the other side. But this RMAX system is actually a little simpler than... Let me turn the two-way off.
On all four wheels, but they're probably going to need at least.
Okay, sorry for the interruption. So you only have you don't have to remove the main brackets here and here to service your brakes. You only have to remove the bolt that holds the sliding caliper on. And as Max mentioned, it's a 17 millimeter and then a 12. to hold this nut and then remove this. I've checked the grease that's in here. It's the same stuff that's in Max's brakes. Let me remove this before I forget. One thing I do like to do is I like to take a Brillo pad and clean up these sliders. I clean up the sliders as well as any point on the brake pad that engage, basically the ends here. They engage the sliders, and then I'll coat them with Tink Seal. You know, I'm a big proponent of dry lube. The nice thing about dry lube is it doesn't attract grease and dirt like grease does, and it'll make this a lot smoother. The other side, I've already cleaned up the clips that the brake pads go into, and then I'll coat these with Tink Seal or dry lube if you don't have Tink Seal, and that'll help us these pads slide in and out. One thing I would like to see Yamaha adopt, and it looks like it'd be very easy. Modern cars have something called an anti-drag clip, and let me see if I can position this light right. It's kind of like a spring that goes between the two brake pads, and it spreads it apart. And they do this because of the fuel economy. By not having dragging brakes, these car manufacturers can post their fuel economy ratings, and they do everything possible to increase fuel mileage. I think Yamaha could easily adapt and put a spring clip in here. It's like a coil. It's like it has a couple coils in it, and it spreads the pads apart when you're not under braking. It's only strong enough to keep it from dragging against the rotor, but then it's still overcome by your brake pedal pressure. So Yamaha, if you're listening, I think it'd be something very easy to implement, some anti-drag brake clips. And guys won't go through brakes in, 500 miles. Well, you mutters still will, but it'll prevent drag and makes the brake pads last longer. Just another tip on when you're replacing brake pads, you'll see, let me get the light back here. You'll see these tabs. When you're installing the pads, you insert them from the back and then you tilt them in forward, and these little tabs help guide you in. So if you're replacing pads, just some tips. And I'm at 2,000 miles, and look how good my pads are. So, okay, that's my spiel for brake pads. And I'll give you an update on whether I'm successful in getting this to 62 inches. I'm going to have to either crank up my preload a lot on the front or buy some 9-inch wide tires. Thanks for watching.